Welcome back, my friends, to the Moto Guzzi show that never ends. It's hello from me. It's hello from Sasha, the Guzzi dog. Say hello, Sasha. Or don't. Are you going to give me a hand today, Sasha? You're going to give me a hand? Going to give me a hand? Yeah, I'll give you a paw. There we go. Right, wiring and pizza boxes. First, let's look at the wiring. Made a little bit of progress here. We talked about where I was going to put my fuse boxes, and so I've made a bracket as far over as I can get it, so that it still gives me lots of room for a battery without filling the whole of this middle up with wires. Couldn't get two fuse boxes on, so I've put one on each side. There's the other one over there. So I've got 4 circuits here, 4 circuits over there. I've started filling them up already. The bottom one, the white one, is ignition. The next one is yellow, which is a power feed up to the handlebar area. And then red, which is a power feed for my starter button. Up here, you can see where the starter button it's got a red feed and then a brown which comes out of it. Brown comes back to the starter relay, which is this thing, and then that uses battery power from here to send power down to the starter motor solenoid at the bottom. You can see the red wire, so that powers up the starter motor solenoid, which then uses battery power to start the bike. Yeah, so I reused the original relay, although it had a hole in it. It worked pretty well, so I stuck some epoxy on it and did a really nice pie crust. Yeah, so that works. Ironically, the early bikes, the V7 700s, didn't have this. They just started it direct with a switch. So this thing fails. I'm not going to bother replacing it. I'm just going to run the wires direct. What else can I say? Yes, so let's go through how the power gets to where it goes. First of all, we've got 3 cables here. Now, these all go onto the positive side of the battery. So this black one is the power to the starter. This one is the feed coming, the power feed coming out of the voltage controller there. And this is what charges the battery up. And this is the power coming away from the battery to my fuse boxes, and it goes through the main fuse here. I saw this in the store and I had to have it. It's absolutely humongous. Look at the size of that thing. At the moment it's got a 40 amp fuse in it, but if that's not big enough we can go with a 60. 8 gauge cable. Yeah, that'll do the job. Anyways, the power from that goes to this switch here, which is my main cutoff switch. It's rated at 75 amps, so I'm not worried about overloading it. Now from there, the power goes down into the 2 fuse boxes. This one comes this side, the other one goes the other side. So it comes in here and goes out along here, and then there'll be 4 fuses fitted along here, and the value of the fuses will be dependent on how much load there is on it. So yeah, we got ignition, the white one powers the coil here. The yellow one, like I said, goes up to the handlebars. The red one is the starter. So we will put appropriate ones in, and then say we wanted to run heated gear off of this one, we'd probably put a 15 or a 20 amp fuse in this one to run a heated gloves and heated jacket, whatever. And then there's auxiliary lights, but I'm going to do the lights from the other side because they're mostly going to be blue. So I want to keep them together to avoid confusion. Yeah, work that out. So yeah, so that's going to be how that goes. Again, trying to keep everything simple. There will be no key on this bike. This will be partially hidden by the the side panel, by the seat, which will come down, and then by the tank. So this gap will be filled up, and there'll only be just enough room to put your fingers in to do that. It was chrome, but I've painted it black to make it a bit more inconspicuous. And I might even put a flap of leather over it or something so you can't actually see it, so you don't even know it's there. Now that will isolate all the circuits on the bike, everything will be dead, but it needs another switch because we don't want the ignition switched on all the time whenever everything else is on. So say we want to operate lights or we want to do something, or la-di-da-di-da, we don't want the coil energized all the time while we do that. Neither do we want the points welding themselves together. So we want to be able to isolate that, so we will need an ignition switch. So what I'm thinking of doing is using something like this in a handy position on the bike. So this will be in addition to that, it'll be on this white line somewhere, and we'll turn the ignition on and off as and when required. So no keys. No keys on this bike. What do you think about that? Well, if you haven't got any keys, you can't lose them, can you? But what I will probably do is I will use a battery isolator. And then this will kill, I'll put this down here somewhere on this negative feed, or this negative ground, which is what it is. I'll find a place to put it, and then what this does is it will isolate the battery completely. That switch there isolates the circuits, but we've still got positive power going up to there. This will completely isolate the battery by taking the ground away from the battery, or the earth away from the battery. It's normal for competition cars and vehicles to have this sort of thing, and you also see it on large earth moving equipment and various industrial equipment too. You can isolate it by turning this and then pulling this red key out. Okay, it's a bit of a large thing. I tried to get a smaller one, but this is what I ended up with. So we'll find a place for that. Might be there, might be here. I obviously don't want it close to where it might get soaked in gasoline, petrol, but we'll find a spot for it. Okay, that's it. Now what about these pizza boxes? Well, if you've got a brain like mine, that doesn't function very well. It has to have a mental. I have to have not only a mental picture, but I have to have a physical picture as well. So when I'm working on various parts of the wiring, I try to write it down, and there's no point me having a little notebook because I'll put it in my pocket and then I'll go wash my trousers and it will be no more. So what I tend to do is I use bits of cardboard, and the best cardboard you can find is good old pizza boxes, right? So if you don't like pizza, you'll have to use, I don't know, cornflake packets or something. Pizza boxes are good. They're good and strong, and they make great gaskets after. So you can make gaskets out of it after you've done the wiring. So there you go. That's what's the use of that? It's very sustainable. You get 3 uses out of a piece of cardboard. So anyway, you're looking at things like this. So this is the wiring for the instrument panel. These are the idiot lights. So I've got 2 feeds for my idiot lights. This is for my blue main beam indicator. It's going to be fed from the main, from the dip switch. When main comes on, this will come on as well. My yellow wire, which is down here, this is the feed for my other idiot lights, which is the neutral switch, the oil pressure switch, and the generator. So the power will come in on this yellow one, and then it'll go out on different wires. So the neutral is not only a green light, but it's also a green wire, which comes, this is it here, and it goes down, and it goes onto this thing here, which needs a little rubber cover. So when the bike's in neutral, the circuit will be made, the power will go to ground, and this light will come on. Similar with the oil pressure. And the generator too, which is a little bit more complicated, but it goes back to the generator or dynamo, and if your dynamo is not charging, then you will get an orange light showing up. And then as you increase the revs, the light should go out with a bit of luck. Then other things, you know, when you're thinking about where your wires are going, I'll write it down on something like this, where my wires, which are starting here and going forwards to the front, you know, my headlight my feed to my headlight will be blue, feed to the auxiliary lights will be blue, identified with red tape. My turn signals will be left is brown and right is green. And then on my lights going backwards, tail light will be blue, stop light will be blue. Obviously the stop light will have to come from a switch. And then my turn signals there. Then as things get done, they get put onto the main pizza box, which is a larger size pizza. So remember to mix the kind of pizzas that you have, you know, for small ones to large ones, which will give you a bigger canvas to draw your wonderful pictures on. So as I weld a certain part of the bike, and I'll put it on here on the main wiring diagram, and although it's untidy, that doesn't matter, because when the whole bike is done, when everything is finished, I will make it look pretty. I'll make it look like this, and I'll do all the colors in different colored Sharpies and crayons, and I will have a full-size one like this on the wall of the shed, workshop, whatever you want to call it, and then I'll have a smaller one, which will, you know, full scap or letter size, which will go in a folder, and then I'll have a smaller one which will be laminated on the bike somewhere, so that if I have trouble on the road, I've got something to refer to. This stuff is I don't know, I've never used it before. It's called Split Flex Wire Loom, and it comes from jolly old Princess Auto, which a lot of Canadians will have heard about. This is the American, the Canadian version of the American Tractor Supply or something like that. It's where all the farmers and rednecks and cheapskates like me go to get their stuff. Quite useful, some of it. You have to watch the quality sometimes, but by and large it's pretty good. So, if you want to see it on the bike, this is what it looks like. So you can bring your cables up from here, and they can run them along the spine of the bike. You can pull out your ignition cables here, your charging cable and your field cable for the dynamo, the generator there. And then this will get clipped up here, emerge by the front of the tank somewhere, and then these wires off of various circuits up, with my finger, up in this area here. So we've got, like I said, the yellow will be power for the neutral and oil. That is the neutral back down to the bike. And then the black and the white are for the rev counter. These go either side of the coil, and then they go to the rev counter up here, up there, which is an electronic rev counter. Okay, so I think that's it. There is more stuff to be talked about with wiring, but at the moment it's a work in progress. All this stuff will be tucked away neatly there, and there'll be still room for the battery. And I'm just trying to keep everything as simple as I can and have every circuit fused. So if anything goes out, I can go to my fuses and change them out very quickly. So there we go. Wiring dung spreader style. Eat pizza. wire your bike. If you run out of material, eat more pizza. Get your Sharpie. It's a good way to think, I think. I think. Anyway, I think that's it from me. Guzzi dog has got bored and gone to sleep outside. So until next time, take care of yourselves, look after one another, keep the rubber side down, keep the Guzzi side up, keep it shiny, enjoy your summer, enjoy your riding. Bye for now.